Welcome to the G-Lew Show, Flashback Fridays with the lovely Miss Queen Jean. I am G-Lew. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We had some things we had to work out. Welcome to the show. I am G-Lew. That's the lovely Miss Queen Jean with me, and we have a very special guest tonight. Queen Jean, why don't you tell them what we got going on, please?
Okay. Good evening, G-Lew. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Tonight we have an amazing guest, Miss Linda Lou McCall from Washington, D.C. She's a songwriter, music business consultant, and she has many other facets under her belt that she will speak on. And is Miss McCall in the green room?
Yes, he is. Let's bring her on to the show. Miss McCall,
okay.
good evening.
Hi, my name is Linda Lou first.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Linda Lou.
That's how we're going to start off this little...
Yeah.
I heard about you,
told me that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She told me about
Linda.
that.
I
She
heard
said
about that.
Linda Lou.
No problem.
Yeah, don't go with
I don't
that
want no
Miss
problem.
McCall nonsense. That's my
I don't want no
husband's late
problem.
mother.
Okay, I don't want no
Okay.
problem. I'll just
Okay,
let it be
feel
known
you.
right now. I don't want no problems. Okay.
No, we good. We good. My fighting days
Okay.
are over.
Okay. You had me a little
Okay.
shook. You had me a little shook. I was like, I don't know. I don't want her to, go off on me
She
early.
came in
I started
gangstering,
to show
didn't
off
she?
as best
She
I
came in
can.
gangstering.
Yeah,
Hey, you know what
I
I'm
did kind of come for Gene, but when we first talked, we clicked immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Okay. See?
I felt like I could, help a sister out.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you,
help a
Linda
brother
Lou.
out too.
Yeah.
We gonna all help each other out tonight. How about that?
That part.
Linda Lou, tell our
Yeah.
audience briefly about you, about your journey.
I don't know
Just
if I
briefly.
can do it briefly, but
Do what
We'll
you do.
get
You
more
got
depth
it.
into it
All
throughout the
on you.
interview.
You got it. Do what you want
I've
to
been
do,
in
man.
the
You do what you want to do.
I've been in the music industry over 50 years. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., graduated from Howard University with a degree in stage lighting. I was their sports editor for the yearbook, and from there I kind of transitioned into taking photographs for celebrities, and the first ones I did was Delphonics.
Miss Lou, I'm sorry. I do not mean to cut you off, and I mean, I apologize. But could you, you spoke about going to Howard, I believe, and I know that was some years ago. Can you just briefly tell us just about that and you going to Howard in those years and what that was like? And I mean, that was monumental, so that's a great start of your career. But just briefly about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, first I was very fortunate to even be in college because both my parents were working class, but my dad figured out like in middle school that kind of had some sense. I was on the honor roll. So he was always a janitor somewhere, but he was smart enough. He was a hustler. He went down to Howard University and got himself a job in their maintenance department, because he found out that the employees' children could attend tuition free.
Okay.
So that's how I was able to go to. Yeah, that's how I was able to go to Howard. I majored in theater because I'm not real good in math and science, and it was the only thing I could get a degree in that didn't require math and science. But I chose stage lighting and technical production. You did say it was quite a while ago. I went to school with Debbie Allen, Felicia Rashad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me see. Grammy Award-winning gospel singer Richard Smallwood.
Smallwood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people came out of our class. We were like at the cutting edge of black drama at that time. And
wow.
Yeah, so yeah.
What is it about? And let me ask you one more thing, Miss Lou. About I'm sorry again to cut you off. I just want to touch on this Howard thing because that is the prestigious.
Please ask me questions because I'm not real good at a narrative.
Okay, I just want to touch on this Howard thing. Right, because so many people that are, so many people of color that are really somebody and really major parts of our history, especially in entertainment, has come from Howard. And then other people, mayors. Just so for you to have went to Howard in those early years, it's just it's a big thing. So I just wanted to touch on that. You know what I mean? And you just spoke on so many more, and it's just something about Howard. That breeds legends and people such as yourself, who are here many years later telling us this wonderful story.
Yeah, it was a great environment back then because we were just coming into the Black Revolution, the sexual revolution, the Vietnam War was going on. So it was a really radical time, and it was an opportunity. Howard University, they talk about historical black colleges, but Howard University, Hampton, Fisk, and all of them at that time gave blacks an opportunity not only to get an education, but to be among themselves while
Right.
rising, which is an entirely different dynamic. So, I grew up in D.C. D.C. at that time was predominantly black. It's not anymore. But so I had already grown up in that climate. But to continue to grow, because, we really don't grow up until we're 18. That's when we're adults. To really mature and blossom in an environment like Howard University was really great for me, because I would have just been another hood rat.
Right.
Really.
Okay.
I really was. I was an honor student, but I was still fighting in the alley. So.
Right.
Yeah. So it worked out really well for me. Yeah. I mean, you had to. I grew up in that environment. We were kind of, lower middle class, and we grew up in on the edge of a very nice neighborhood. And I went to school with some people. If I name the high school people I went to school with, some really great people. Their fathers were doctors and lawyers. So that kind of made me aspire to want to do a little bit more. And then when I got to Howard, not only in theater, but they would do things like, we need photographers. If you got a camera, we'll show you how to use it. My dad, a hustler, went out late one night, came back with a camera. Okay, it wasn't in a box, and it wasn't kind of brand new, but I got a camera. And I went down and they taught us how to take pictures, and they taught us how to develop our own film. And from that, it was kind of a stepping stone, which put me into the music industry, put me into entertainment, because trying to be a lighting designer, a black female lighting designer at that time was not going to fly. It's not on Broadway.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they didn't even have women in the electricians union at that time. So I kind of just made a lateral shift, got with the Delphonics, realized I really liked music, and lucked up on a job with Stax Records. And it just kind of, I didn't kind of luck up. I was kind of stupid, and I was reading a Jet magazine, and it was talking about this female who was given her own label at Stax, a subsidiary label. And I wrote her a letter, put her name on it, Stax Records Memphis, no address, and told her she really needed to hire me because I was the best thing in the world. She showed up at my house a few months later with Isaac Hayes and said, if you want to work for me, be ready to get on the plane tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. And
rest in peace to Isaac Hayes, too. Wow.
Yeah. And working there was a whole nother level, great experience. So a lot of things. And that's where I met my husband in Confunction.
Wow. Yes, the legendary Louis McCall. For those who didn't know, the founder and drummer of Confunction. Yeah. So, I met them there. I didn't date Louis there because, that's messy. Right.
I went back after I left Stax.
I like you, Miss Linda. I like you already.
My daddy taught us, not to mess where we sleep. He taught his girls that. So after I had left Stax, I was called back to Howard University 2 years after I graduated to help hang the homecoming show, do the lighting for the homecoming show. And Isaac Hayes was the headliner, and Confunction was opening, and that was the first time I'd ever seen Confunction perform. And they were amazing. They were amazing. Yeah, and I knew that night that those guys would get a record deal, and they eventually did. So, okay, I started dating Louis that night. Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's when it went down.
Yeah. I got to throw it out there. I know my kids are embarrassed, but Yeah.
Okay, and you wrote a lot of songs for Confunction as well, right?
Well, yeah, I not only wrote songs, I was the production assistant for most of their albums. I designed their album covers. I wrote the liner notes. I was a stylist. Whatever my husband needed, I did it. And we figured out early up that there was money in the songwriting and the publishing aspect of the music. So I just started writing basically lyrics. But when you have a whole accomplished band around you, you can do anything. It's not like today where you got to learn how to program Pro Tools or some nonsense like that. I had a band, and I could hum whatever ideas I had, and those guys would turn it into songs that benefited both me and my husband. And I started my own publishing company, Extra Foxx Music, so I own the copyrights to all of my songs and Lewis's songs. So.
Wow, that's
some good history.
Miss Linda, I want to ask you, at what point did you guys, because you just spoke about this, that you learned about this early on, but at what point did you guys actually learn this, and how was it going about learning this business and getting all these things in order to where you have control of these things? Because that's not easy. If it was, you would have a lot of other artists that followed suit as well, because there's a lot of other artists out there from that time who weren't as fortunate. So how did you guys discover this, and especially as a team, and come together as a team and make all of these things happen on the business side to secure your future?
Well, I noticed pretty quickly that my husband wasn't making any money. The group was making a lot of money on the road from tours, like $1 million, $2 million a year just touring. But as far as after they got that first advance check, it always seemed like they were in the hole. It was that whole plantation store thing. You know, you never get out of debt with the plantation store, and that's exactly what was going on. So I just did a little bit of research, figured out I needed to learn this business, so I went back to law school at 31 with a degree in theater. And through that, and what I had learned through the year, what I gleaned just watching my husband's band get screwed, other bands of that era, black artists. You know, you can have 7, 8 members in a band, and people make money, because if you've got one guy, he gets the same amount of money as 7 or 8 guys. So I figured out that the money was in the songwriting and the publishing and owning your own publishing. And I started my own publishing company, and then I helped Confunction, each member of Confunction, start their own publishing company so that they would own the rights to their songs. Now, I don't understand why I'm still working for producers and songwriters right now trying to get their money, and you can Google this stuff now. I had to go to law school to learn this stuff. So I don't know where the disconnect is, but particularly minority artists are still not. There's some of them that are, and they understand owning their masters and all of that, but that should be across the board at this point.
Right.
You know, we really should be controlling our own destiny. And it's just not happening. So that's how that went down. I went back to law school with a baby and another baby on the way, and lupus. I needed to do it to learn how to best help my husband. Wow.
Okay. Go ahead, Queen.
Okay, Linda Lou. You formed your own company, the Cortel, E-Cortel.
Yeah,
that was specializing
I did that. The Entertainment Cartel. That was after my 2 years of working for MC Hammer.
Okay.
All right, don't make me go into that.
Yeah,
but
tell
anyway.
us about that. Tell us about working with Hammer, though. Nah, we got to hear this. We got to hear some of this.
Because we've heard
Tell us about
stories
working with
Hammer
the
already.
legendary
Let's
MC
hear your
Hammer.
side.
Mr. Burrell. Mr. Burrell.
Oh, okay. All right. Me and Lewis had gotten out of the business. Once his contract with Mercury was over, me and him got square jobs. He was a top car salesman. I was doing mortgages. And I got a chance at age 40, actually, to go work for MC Hammer. He thought I was like 26 or something. And so they needed someone to come in and help them with the business aspect. They had offices. They had whiteout, but they didn't have any typewriters. They had secretaries that couldn't type. It was a crap show. So, came
but this
in
is
and
early.
set up
This is early. This is early in Hammer's career?
Oh, okay.
No. Okay.
No.
All right.
No, this is
okay.
No.
Okay.
Because I would not have left my good job to start all over again with another musician. No. Hammer was at the top of his game. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him.
Please, I don't hurt.
Yeah, had probably sold 10 million copies by that time, which was unprecedented for a rap artist. He was the first rap artist to be played on pop radio. He just changed the landscape of how we do music at that time. You used to promote music from radio down. You started radio, you get your little spins on radio, and that's how people know how to go buy your records. But what Hammer did, selling records out of the trunk of his car, for real, him, his brother who managed him, their wives, splitting up, selling records, and it forced radio to play them because everybody on the streets was playing them. So that changed everything, that the whole street promotion thing. All of that comes from MC Hammer. People don't understand that. He changed the way music was promoted, sold at retail, radio, everything. So that everybody could make some money in the situation, but I don't want to say. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we need that alone.
No, I mean, it's not. No, it was a good 2 years. And first, let me say something. Let me say how I got that job. I want to give some credit to a member of Confunction, Felton Pilot, who was one of their lead singers, songwriters, one of their big songwriters with Michael Cooper. He was Hammer's music director and producer. He co-produced Can't Touch This. He's the one who put that smooth on it, that Rick James, which made it melodic and made it so that little white girls in Utah was dancing to this black guy. So Felton Pilot did that. And Felton came to me because he knew I had run Confunction stuff. And he says, Linda, you really need to come help us because they need somebody to run the office. And it was through Felton that I got my job with Hammer. And it was a bumpy 2 years for a lot of reasons. And people always want to slam Hammer about going bankrupt. And, Trump went bankrupt like 3 or 4 times. Don't nobody talk about that. And want to talk about him losing $35 million or going through $35 million, but most of us never make $35 million to lose. And Hammer and his brother were very business savvy. Trust me, they were not broke. You make business decisions. When you can't cover your expenses, you file bankruptcy. That's what you do. It's not a bad thing. But everybody attached something negative when Hammer did it. Where corporations like Rolls-Royce, all of these big corporations have filed bankruptcy. Nobody cares. But like I said, it's some things that went on there that was just racehorses and people that were just your friends, but they making all this. Yeah, and it's like you got. He had a lot of what I'm gonna say this. He had a lot of really talented and educated women working for him, making 25% of what his boys were making. And if one of them, I did his taxes for him, and I said, well, what do you want me to put on the occupation line? Because really, to me, all you are is Hammer's best friend. And I don't know if that's an occupation, but that's what you do.
Right.
Okay? So, I came in, I raised up the salaries of the females. It was a very male-dominated situation, a little bit oppressive in some aspects. I'm going to put this out here. Hell with it, because I'm writing a book anyway. Me too. And them too.
Okay.
Those young girls. That was the climate. And I'm not ragging on Hammer, but that was the climate of entertainment systemically. That's just the way it was. And people saw it and let it go. I decided not to see it and let it go. I filed a lawsuit when I left there. And several other women filed lawsuits. And we prevailed. So, I'm not running up here like, we weren't talking about it back then because it just wasn't the thing to talk about. But, Hammer is no different than anybody else. That's just the way. That was the climate of entertainment. And it's been that way up until recently.
Right.
You get away with what you can get away with, but
right.
It'll be in my book.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to reading that.
Too much, yeah. So.
Well, let's talk about you relocating from LA to Atlanta in 1994 and how you build up your solid client base. With these great artists that you build up with, and how did that come about?
Well, after Hammer, I got a job one day, and the next day I don't have a job because of the way he handled his business. And I decided right then no one was ever going to sign a paycheck for me again. So I got some of the people that had worked for him. We're all out of a job. People have relocated from all over the country for this man. And now we're just out of jobs. He didn't even fire us. I fired us. So I got, because I was vice president, and so now I got to fire everybody, but this is your company. You should have stepped up and done that. But anyway, I got several people together, like a good friend of mine who went to Howard University, but not at the same time I did, named Anthony Daughtry, and some other people, and kind of put together what I called an entertainment cartel of people that could do whatever it is you needed to do in entertainment, in black music specifically, to kind of keep our lights on and hold us together. And about 93, 94, Atlanta was coming up as a hip hop mecca, right behind New York and LA. And I was living in LA at the time, and the competition in LA to do anything, because whoever is waiting on tables for you is not really a waiter; he's really a screenwriter. So the competition in LA was crazy. So instead of being a little fish in a big pond, I decided to be a big fish in a little pond and relocated to Atlanta with another girlfriend of mine named Arlinda Garrett, who is a beast when it comes to radio promotion. And we just showed up in Atlanta, me and Arlinda, with our kids, and started our own businesses. One of my first clients were Outcast and Goody Mob, and it just exploded from there. And my friend Anthony Daughtry, who I'd worked with and helped while after Hammer, because he worked for Hammer, Arlinda worked for Hammer, he became national director of street promotions at Interscope Records.
Right.
And he called me up because I'd done a solid for him. He called me up and he says, I'm going to give you Atlanta. Well, I don't do promotion. That's not what I do. Marketing, that's not what I do. But I did. So I had Atlanta as a market for street promotion, and our artists were Eminem, Black Eyed Peas, Maya, and these are their debut albums.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy Iovine, particularly on Eminem, Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre pulled out all stops. You know, whatever it is we needed. We had 26 teams in 24 cities, 24 markets. Whatever we needed to put these artists over, because it took us a long time to break Black Eyed Peas. People weren't feeling them at all. But Eminem, he was difficult until we had his pit. Yeah, Jimmy. Well, because okay, I'm gonna tell you how Jimmy Iovine sent the music to us. He just sent the music to us. No pictures. You know, just this kid rapping, and it's like, damn, this kid.
Kind of how my first flyer was.
Yeah, and then he sends us the picture, and we like, oh no, I said not in Atlanta. This is not gonna fly at all. Tupac had just died. No, we're not fixing to do this. So we had to come up with creative marketing for Marshall, and what they did was took his picture off the album cover. Mm-hmm. Because Dr. Dre goes way back,
which was good at that point. I think that was a good marketing at that 21st. Yeah.
Yeah, because I brought up Charlie Pride, who is a black country and western singer. That nobody, those Grand Ole Opry, they buying his records, but he was not on probably his first 10 album covers. Mm-hmm. They put a wine glass or a cowboy hat, anything, to keep his black face off, but some white folks was buying his records. So we went back to that aesthetic, took him off the album cover. He became Slim Shady, and by the time people figured out he was white, we already had their money. Yeah. They had, he had moved 4 million copies by that time. So from there, I got Bad Boy Entertainment. There's not anybody from the late 90s, from 1995 up to probably 2002 that I didn't have as a client.
Yeah,
Will
Jay-Z.
Smith, Jay-Z, Beyonce, everybody. We worked every single artist we did. Nike, Dunkin' Donuts. We were the first team to wrap cars. I don't know if y'all remember those when they started wrapping vehicles.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were the first team to do that. We took songs in the strip clubs, had the name of the song on the front of the song, paid the DJ for the girl to dance to it with the name of the record right there in the front. sold records like that.
And don't forget to mention your the platinum selling Bulworth soundtrack that you also worked with.
Oh yeah, we got let me see. We did Bulworth, Eminem's first album, Maya's first album, Black Eyed Peas. All of these are platinum albums. Mm-hmm. Bulworth was the first soundtrack to go platinum ever in the history of ever, and we worked that. Interscope, they spent the money. Everything we had was quality, and after that, street teams were modeled after the Interscope street team. And then after Anthony left Interscope, we kept that team together, that set of teams throughout the country, and we worked those under his company, Streetwise Promotions, for several years. We just kept it going, you know. So that's how I got into promotion and working with artists like that from the street. So,
hey, Miss Linda, I want to ask you this. I want to ask you. I'm sorry. A brief question about coming on to Atlanta early on with the scene when it was really taking off, because you know Atlanta today what it is, and you know, but back then it was a lot of history and early on the Freaknik you were involved in, so many legendary things involving Atlanta, the early Goody Mob, Outkast, when they took off. Tell us about those times in Atlanta when things were taking off.
Yeah, Atlanta was wide open. Atlanta was in 1994 when me and Arlinda got there. Everybody came like late. If you came there in 2000, 2005, you were late.
Right.
Atlanta was young, fresh. It had so much money down there. It was crazy. Coca-Cola is there. Home Depot is there. Delta is there. Turner Broadcasting is there. Crazy money down there. Right. We had Freaknik. So the cool thing about Atlanta was artists such as Outkast, Goody Mob, Ludacris, Little John, the whole Dungeon family. You could go ghetto gold down there, which meant you just selling roughly 100,000 copies out of the trunk of your car. And what people don't understand, I got a whole room full of plaques. I got plaques stacked up in my daughter's garage. When you get broke, them plaques don't feed you. You take them to the pawn shop, they might get you $5.
Oh wow!
Right.
Yeah. If you sell back then, if you sold 100,000 copies and took the whole $10, you would make $1 million in your pocket. A record label is only going to give you up to 16%, if that, and then you got to pay back all the recoupable costs. That's why artists like TLC and Tony Braxton and all of them had to file bankruptcy, because they didn't make any money. Because the way the contract was structured, the record label is taking all the money. Now, they don't take the heat if some artist is saying nigga too many times. The record label doesn't take the heat. The artist takes the heat. But the label is making 86% of every dollar, and the artist is paying the cost.
Right, but Miss Linda, let me ask you this, because you come from early on too. We're talking about the '90s. No, I'm not trying. That's why I'm making it like when I say it, I'm trying to make it sound not like that. But I mean, I'm just keeping it real. You go back. So I want to ask you this: why has all of these up even to this day, where it's more independent now? Artists have more control, but why has it been up to this point where damn near the labels have been pushed out, that they still structure these deals in that way, knowing that the artist will not, has no chance? You know what I mean? Why is this?
Because we will spend more money on a pair of sneakers than we will take that same money and hire an attorney to look at a contract that we're about to sign. We keep signing bad contracts. That's why I went to law school. I was at Stax Records when Stax Records went bankrupt. When they closed the doors on Stax and came and got Isaac Hayes' Cadillac and put him on.
I remember that.
He didn't own nothing. You hear what I'm saying? Those cars were leased. His home was leased. The guys that wrote "If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Do Right," which has been covered by so many artists I don't even want to talk about, lost everything because they didn't own anything. Okay, so what we still continue to do is go for that bag. See, what the record companies will do, they'll go into the hood. You've been selling your little music, being ghetto gold. Everybody knows your little stuff, but no, what you want is the fame. You want a plaque. You want a tour. You want to be at that time be on MTV, at BET, instead of I tell everybody the only red carpet I walk is the one that leads the Bank of America. That's the only thing I don't do interviews. I rarely do interviews. I did this because of Jeff. That's not what I'm in this game for. I'm in this game to make me some money, not friends, not nothing else. I don't care if anybody knows who I am, but look on the back of my husband's albums. My name is on the back of his albums more times than he is. But guess what? I got paid. I made Mercury Records cut me a check. You're not going to tell me that because I did the album cover and I'm married to the drummer, you're not going to pay me. There's 6 other guys in that group I'm not sleeping with. I need a check, boo-boo. You know, so what we still are not doing, and yes, I don't care, trying to keep, not curse. I don't care how much money you see. We had this discussion. I don't care how much money you see whoever the biggest artists are making, they should be making far more than that. If they got $10 million, they should have $10 billion.
Right.
They're still not getting the full bag. Now, they have a lot more control now because, see, back in the day, the big 6 labels controlled everything, including
and tell them what the big 6 labels. The big 6 labels. Break that down.
Let me see if I can remember them now because there's only about 3 left. It was MCA, which is now Universal, Sony, EMI, Warner
Brothers.
Yeah, I can't remember them all, but it was, Capital EMI, Warner Brothers.
Was Epic in there?
Sony. Yeah, but Epic may have been part of the Warner's label, but let's just say this: there's 6 at that time. There was 6 big companies, and then you had subsidiary companies like Mercury and Epic and Atlantic. All of those came under these umbrellas of these 6 companies. And let me just speak on one, just to kind of explain. Okay, say MCA, and you got all these subsidiary labels under MCA. Well, MCA also owned, at that time, its own CD pressing plant. Before that, they owned the cassette making plants, the vinyl pressing plant. When you own the manufacturing, you control it all because you can have a black artist really ready to release their album, they're about to press it, and they decide for whatever reason they want Cher to blow up. They'll stop the production of your stuff because the black money is not, it has since grown greatly, over pop. But back then, R&B music wasn't making money like pop music, like country music. So they're going to move the black artists out of the way, put their release date back to press the white person or the pop artist.
Right.
There is one artist whose name I'm not going to say for a lot of reasons, but you probably figured out by the time I tell the story. But he had put together $40 million or so to buy a CD pressing plant because he realized that 17% of the market share was black music. And if he could grab that away from the big six, that's a lot of money. And then that would trickle down to the artist. Well, we're up in the Hollywood Hills meeting about this because it took people who didn't care, who when you sign your own paycheck, you don't have to listen to what other people say. I don't care because you can't fire me. So they got a bunch of people who were like this, renegades, blackballed or whatever it is, mavericks, and we were putting together a plan for the CD pressing plant. Next thing you know, he bangs up on some legal stuff. And some legal stuff that everybody in the record business always knew, but now all of a sudden it's a problem. $20 million of that dollars went towards lawyers. $20 million went toward settling a lawsuit. Somebody dropped a dime on it. And it was somebody in the big six. So every time we had somebody with enough power, with enough juice, who was black, that was able to align himself and get him in position to control the ball, they pull it out from under you. Look at labels like LaFay, Uptown. When those labels were doing really well, what does a major label do? Come in, take away that meek person, offer him a job with one of the big established labels like MCA or Sony, and then within a year his label is gobbled up. Like Uptown, they put Heavy D over Uptown. What? I managed Heavy D. How is he running a label behind Andre Harrell? Within a year, Uptown was gone. LaFace, gone. Stat, gone. You're just going to get so far, and then it's done. And so now these artists, they have this false sense of security because they're making a whole lot more money. But step wrong and see how quick you fall off. You know, even Hammer. You know that Capitol dropped Hammer because it was too legit to quit, only sold 5 million records, albums.
Oh, wow.
Are you serious?
Who was selling 5 million albums in 1992?
And that wasn't enough for them.
Hammer put the lights on in the Capitol Tower. You know what Capitol Records was doing before MC Hammer got there? Re-releasing Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra on his Reprise label. That's what they were doing. When Hammer came on board, every floor, from the bottom floor to the top, they had their lights on again. Then all of a sudden, they kick Hammer off, and guess who blows up? Garth Brooks.
Oh, wow.
With Hammer's money.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, wow. The cold game.
But we keep wanting to be in it. Why we don't want to be doctors and lawyers?
Right.
Why we keep getting on this plantation? And that's what the record industry is. It's a plantation. When you get your own label, and I tell these kids, you do not want your own label. You do not see any white artists with their own label. All that is sharecropping. When you make money and the label makes money, they're with you. But when you start losing, you're going to lose on your own. I watched it with Hammer. They gave Hammer a $10 million joint venture deal, Busted Records. They knew that money wasn't going to last. I had done all the financials for it, and I told them at the table, this is not going to last us a year. And I could tell by the look on the head of Capitol Records' face that I was right and I shouldn't have said that. And, yeah, 1 year later, Busted Records was shut down.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's a game plan, and if these kids out here, and I hope somebody who is listening that is going into this game, and I know we love it. You know, we love music, and there are artistic people. Learn the history of music, and I teach the business of music. I don't teach music art. That's not what I do. I teach the business of music. Because, see, music is an art, but recording is a business. If you go back and you look at the business aspects of black labels and you see how they failed, it's the same thing over and over and over again. The pattern has not stopped because we keep doing the same thing. We sign these bad contracts. We get that little money they wave in front of us. What is the first thing black people do? Go buy their mama a house.
Or
then they buy a house that's way too big. That they, come on, you grew up in a 1,400 square foot house with 9 people in it, and now all of a sudden you need 20,000 square feet. Really?
Right.
And then when you're not selling records, first of all, they done talked you into getting a mortgage that you could pay while you were selling records. But when you're not selling records, guess what? The bank comes and takes the house back. You think all them people not in bed together? They don't let you pay for that Maybach cash. They don't let you pay for that cash. They want it financed so they can come get it.
Right.
There are success stories. Puffy, or whatever he calls himself now, Sean Combs. He diversified. He was a smart kid, Howard University again.
Right.
He was a smart kid. He parlayed what he wanted to do at Howard and then took it back to New York. And one thing I did like about Puffy is he wanted to work in the record business, and he sat outside Andre Harrell's office every day till Andre said, let me give you something to do. And he was a gopher. And what he did was soaked up everything. He's not the best producer. Come on, let's keep it real.
No, he's not even a real producer. They were talking about go against
all.
Dre. He's not really a producer. He's just a,
No, he can't hear.
Maybe a composer.
He's good. He's a good businessman. He knows how to find good artists. But when he gets them in the studio, he just lets them do what they want to do. That's not what a good producer does. A producer makes a singer be better than they thought they ever could be. He let Mary J. Blige go in there and just be all off key. Just let her do what she want to do because she changed everybody's ear. Now these kids think singing flat is cool, and she can sing because when she was when Babyface produced her on the Soul Food soundtrack, and he made her hit every note for note. She did it.
Right.
But again, Puff is a good businessman. He diversified. He's got great instincts. When he did Sean John, which a lot of people do clothing lines, but what did he do? He went and got the designer from Ralph Lauren to do his stuff. And
got his stuff in Macy's. Took off.
Yeah, he's making that back. 50 Cent, who was under Eminem. Let's see, hold on. There's Jimmy Iovine, Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, Dr. Dre.
Then Eminem.
Who's next? Eminem, then 50 Cent. Okay, now think
Right.
how many times that pie is cut.
Right.
But 50, again, a great businessman, great instincts, diversified, got him a great show, Empower, much better show than Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though it's about drugs, it's realistic. There's nothing at all authentic about Empire.
Right.
Nothing.
I agree. I agree.
Nothing.
Empire lost me years ago. I know that's a big show, but it lost me some years ago when it was just doing too much.
Well, it works for the masses. When you don't know, see, we work in the industry. When this is what you do, and you know what the real story is, then they can't sell you a story. I'm not a major drug dealer, so that's why I like Power. Now, I don't know if that's how drug dealers really act, but I kind of like what they're doing over there.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
But in the record industry, you know, Chicago, you got all of these artists and everybody's in the studio. It's just nothing about it. The only good thing was they would have really short remnants of good songs and good artists that they would bring in, cameos, to keep the show moving. But that whole, no. But, again, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and all of that, that's what people perceive that we do. That is not what we do.
Right.
And
What a perception.
unfortunately, it's got kids messed up because they keep wanting to be something instead of becoming something. Learning the ropes, putting in your time, taking your hits, being knocked down, getting back up. And that's how you stay in the game. Like what's the guy with the braids? Oh my God, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg took hits. You know, he was from the hood, but he had street smart. And now he's baking cakes with Martha Stewart?
He's doing everything. He's with the General Insurance man, and
he's smoking smoke all around him. Everybody loves him because he ducked and he dodged. He knew where he needed to go. Okay, I'm gonna be with Death Row. I'm not gonna be with Death Row. I'm gonna do this, and he just parlayed. You know, stayed with his wife, brought up a family, football. He's just a great guy. You know, just a great guy. Yeah. But for every Snoop, every Puffy, every 50 Cent, there's 100,000 people that are not making it, that are really faking it.
You're absolutely right, Linda. You are absolutely right. It's see, we're getting a lot of good history, everybody, and I hope you all are listening up, and people that are in the industry or want to get into the industry, soaking it all in because it's
soak it up. I'm soaking it up. it up. This is just great. And what I want to do, I want to take a break because I know. Right, you got to be a sponge. I know some people may just, maybe a little bit too much, but I hope you're taking notes. I'm just getting the history and soaking it all up. But I'm going to go over to some music and take a break, let some people go to the restroom, go pour a drink or whatever you need to do. And I'm going to play some classics by something that Miss Linda had a few things to do with. Miss Linda, I want to play some function that you had a major part in. I want to play one of these classics. What do you want to hear, Miss Linda?
California One.
You're our guest. California One. That's how you feel?
California One.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my song. That's my heart and soul song. That's my stuff.
Okay. Well, this is Linda McCall, the Function, California
Linda
One.
Lou.
Yeah, my daughter walked down the aisle to this song. She didn't even do Don 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 Don. This is what she played at her wedding.
Okay.
Me and her dad.
People.
All right, so here it is.
Thank you so much.
Yes. We'll be right back. Flashback Fridays, the G-Lew Show, with our special guest, Linda Lou McCall.
Come outside for my fantasy. Redwoods reaching for the sky, and the Golden Gate lights are calling me. California was highway of my memory. California was spinning me toward my dreams. Western days are so easy. Pacific waves take my mind away. When the sun sets on the ocean, this is where I know I'm gonna stay. California was highway of my memory. California was spinning toward my California was highway of my memory. California was spinning me toward my dreams. California was highway of my memory. California was spinning me toward my California was California was California was California was California was California was California
Yes, sir. It's the G-Lew Show, Flashback Fridays, with our special guest, Miss Linda Lou McCall. She had a part in that right there, man. It's she is a legend tonight. I hope everybody's soaking up game. What I want to do right here is I want to go out the request line and play this for the homeboy, my sponsor, Tweed Cadillac. He wanted to hear this off the request line. Confunction Not Ready. On the G-Lew Show, Flashback Fridays with Linda McCall, Queen Jean.
It's getting so hard to sleep.
G-Lew Show, Flashback Fridays. Before we continue, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, BTP Media Group, Jeff Kwan, 93 Tweed FM Ism every Thursday night, the After 6 Cruise Mix, Tweed Cadillac, Westside Car Club, D.D. Harrison, OG Music, Poetry of Justice Show. And that's Queen Jean, y'all. I'm G-Lew. And that's the lovely Miss Linda Lou. Wow, Linda Lou.
Yep.
You are incredible.
What
Just to be a part of Confunction, I salute you because that's one of my favorite groups all time. All time.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah.
They were a really great group of guys and incredibly talented.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they were.
They, they didn't quite get where they could have been, but they were amazing. The Mercury was promoting them as more of a funk group, but Confunction is masters at ballads. Those are baby making songs that people.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Everybody knows Fun. Everybody knows Chase Me, but when you're talking about Baby I'm Hooked, Straight from the Heart, Love
Train, yes.
Yeah, those are baby-making songs.
Linda, let me ask you this. Why was it, again, like I spoke about earlier with maybe the record companies, the higher-ups, how they construct these things, why wasn't it groups like Confunction and so many others that weren't as big, like you may say, because they were big to us, and to this day they're the biggest, but why weren't they as big and put on that platform as some of the more other ones or the counterparts that were? Because Confunction was incredible, and there's many more funk groups. Go ahead.
Explain that is the reason why I had you play California One, because Mercury Records told me that black people couldn't write pop music. And California One is a pop song.
Yes.
And it is Like, it's really big in Japan. It's still being played now. It's a great song. But when you put an artist in a box and you say Confunction or Cameo, and all of these are great musicians. They're just not groups. These are true musicians. When the electricity goes out, they're still playing. They know how to sing to the back of the house. They know how to pull the plug out of that guitar and strum that guitar. Lewis is still playing drums. These are great musicians, and when you put great musicians in a box and tell them you can only play funk or you can only play a certain subset of R&B, and you really need to, the only way that artists can make money is to cross over. Because at that time it was, 11 million black people in the country? We were like less than whites bought more of the music. 80% of the music was bought by whites. And if you don't cross
still to
over,
this day. Still to this day.
Yeah, then the best you're going to do at that time, Confunction had 5 gold albums back to back. That was great back then. Because it was hard to get gold. Now everybody's getting platinum because, or double platinum or diamond, which is 10 times platinum, because you're selling to a wider audience. But back then, all of those groups, Cool in the Gang, Earth, Wind, and Fire, not so much because of the kind of music Earth, Wind, and Fire played. But even they should have been, and well, you know what? The people that I'm going to say this about, they ain't listening to this anyway. They should have been as big as the Beatles because they were much more talented than the Beatles. The Beatles were just a cultural thing that came at a time when the world was changing. You got guys with long hair and these strange clothes, and people were embracing change. They were good songwriters, but not great songwriters. You know, and you juxtapose Earth, Wind, and Fire, Maurice White against the Beatles. Come on.
And I thought Earth, Wind, and Fire really. I thought they really sold a lot of records. Like, I know they were the biggest, as far as when I hear it. Even from like even my mom, you know, they said Earth, Wind, and Fire was the band, you know, the big out of so many bands.
They were the biggest of that era. They made more money than anybody, but just like everybody else, they had to make their money on tour. And when you go on tour, when Confunction, you already got 7 people, and when you go on tour, Sheila E. got her start with Confunction. You got a percussionist on stage. Yeah, people don't talk about that, but yeah, she got her start with Confunction. If you look on their early album covers, her name is on there playing percussion. She toured with them for a couple of years, and her brother Peter Michael Escovedo took over on percussion. So you've got percussionists, you got extra horns, you got roadies, you got all of these extra people, but just within the group, and your record label is only paying you a certain amount of money, now you got division between the band members because nobody's making, you know, like, say, you know, not to say anything bad against Michael Cooper, but Michael Cooper wrote Fun. That was their biggest hit. So as a songwriter, Michael Cooper was getting other money. He was getting songwriting royalties, BMI royalties, performance rights royalties. So he was making more money than the rest of the group, and the other money that they were making, they were trying to split it 7 ways. Well, that's not enough money. Their advance check was $12,000. Come on.
Wow.
Their first check that they got after they blew up was $250,000 by the time you pay a manager, the lawyers, the taxes, and split it 7 ways, and that's all the money they ever got again, they never got another dime.
Wow.
I just got finished fighting Universal because they're going to try to tell me on behalf of my children who get their father's royalties that Confunction hasn't recouped that $1 million that they owed when they left Mercury in '86. See,
Wow,
y'all
that's a
win.
lie. That's a big, come
what?
on now. Come on now.
Yeah, I went and ordered all of their stuff off of Amazon. You know, everything that they repackaged and put on CD, I went and ordered all of them. I said, okay, let me tell you what you're going to do now. You're going to pay my kids on the money I just spent on Amazon because you're not going to convince me that Confunction is not making money and you are remastering this music, re-releasing this music. If it wasn't money, you wouldn't be spending money.
Right.
This is what I do. Don't play me like this. And as a result, Confunction, the surviving members and my children now get a check for mechanical royalties. If you don't ask for it, you don't get it. I just spent 2 years fighting for producers of royalties.
Wow.
Because
I'm just so I'm grateful that you still have the drive and you still push to do this and get the justice that's deserved of groups like Confunction and so many others because we heard so many stories about how this unfolds and even to this day, like I said, it's just still going on even with the black record companies that so-called make a better way and sign artists, and they do the same thing, maybe because they're taught this, and it just continues.
They were trained that way. They were trained that way. How can you learn the business of music? Okay, this is another thing. If you think about when you talk about domestic violence, a guy beats his wife because he saw his mother being beat. That's all he knew. It's the same way here. If you've been cheated on and not gotten your money and dogged out, then when you finally get that bag, you're going to do the same thing because you do not know how to do the business of music. Who taught you? Nobody taught you.
Right.
Everybody's not saying at the last minute, oh, look, I'm going to go to law school. Because you know what? I didn't even learn this in law school. I didn't. I went to law school to give me some credibility. I learned this watching what was going on around me. First at Stax, then with Confunction, and then I'm still seeing it. It's still going on. It's still going on. It's still going on. Why am I fighting right now to get producers' royalties for records, big records that were released 10 years ago? I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of these producers, they're going in there doing the little beats. Nobody's in the studio anymore together. Somebody does a little beat and they mail it to somebody and they add something. By the time you do all that, when you get the finished product, you forget who did what. So, and the labels, they feed off of that. They'll put it out because there's no producer's contract. So why we got to pay somebody? Show me that you were even on this song. I know you say you're on it, and I know your name is on the album cover or the liner notes. But right now, we need a contract.
That's how they do it, huh?
That's how they do it.
Wow.
And I keep telling these kids, when you sit down, you talk about the business first. Who's going to get what, especially with songwriting, which goes on forever. Songwriting royalties go on forever. I wrote a song, Honey Wild, at the same time I wrote California One for the same album, the Confunction 7 album, that Lil Wayne sampled in 2008. I wrote it in 81, 2008. I make a lot of money.
Mhm.
Because good songs people will use. You don't ever know when they'll use it again. He sampled my song. He didn't clear it. He was hoping I was dead, but I wasn't. And not only am I not dead, but I do publishing. So I went in and I let him have the song. You know, I could have taken him to court for copyright infringement. But, you know, he's a kid. You know, he doesn't know. So I just took 100% of the publishing of the song
100%.
and just let it. Yeah.
Okay.
Took it all.
Yeah. And then, like, the
As
little
you
producer
should, right?
Yeah, the little producer calls me up because he thought he was going to get paid off of the publishing royalties. And I told him, no, your job was the producer. Your job is to make sure Wayne's interests are protected, that those samples are clear. So the money that you lost on this song is the equivalent of an MBA from Harvard in business. You'll never make this mistake again. But I'll tell you what I did. I went in and got his money this time. I went back. When I went in to get the producer's money, I got his money too. He wasn't even a client. But, yeah. So.
Okay. Hey,
but they're still
okay.
doing it, 'cause I'm still working with artists right now that are doing the same thing. They're still doing it.
Right. Miss Linda, can I take a quick second to take a caller?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. We got a special.
You
We got a
I
special
don't
caller.
like none of this. But okay.
Come
All right.
on now.
Okay.
Talk to your people.
All right.
Your people want to holler at you. Call her hello.
Okay.
Good evening, Miss McCall. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you. Wow. I'm fine, thank you.
See there. Look at it. Look at it. Okay.
I just want to say, I just want to say that I know your history. I know the history of Confunction, one of my all-time favorite bands. And you mentioned who was that song. That song is called Not Ready. It's one of my favorites. I kind of dig
Thank
deep.
you.
I
completely
like.
forgot.
Man, that's one of the top ones. That's up there with Straight from the Heart, Magic Woman, Honey Wild. It's there. But as you stated earlier, man, I lived all of them. I lived Make It Last. I lived all of them. But what I really want to say is, yeah, Confunction was great on ballads, but they were a good funk band. But I do understand that with the personnel that was involved, a lot of times, a lot of bands, which I've noticed, sometimes they had to downsize. Cameo was a big band. They had to downsize on the Word Up project. Parliament Funkadelic was a big band. They had to downsize. A lot of times, all players. A lot of times I used to say, once the writers get that credit, it kind of breeds envy and jealousy, considering that you could have only have wrote the hook. So G-Lew could have wrote the verses, but say Miss Lou wrote the hook. Miss Lou owns the song because she wrote the chords. So a lot of times artists don't really understand that as well, too. When I was in the business,
but what you just said is not true. That's not true. Songs are broken down by lyrics and music, and normally,
if you agree to that, because a lot of times a lot of artists don't really get writers' credits. They usually go to whoever wrote the hook, at least.
Well, see, that's
my
the problem.
experience.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm trying to make. That's the problem. That is not the way it should be done. If you fill out a split sheet at that board, because the hook, because look, I don't write hooks. Michael Cooper used to come to me to finish his songs off because Michael Cooper was good at writing hooks. I was good at writing the verses.
The lyrics.
Yeah,
a lot of times they wouldn't
even
present
the whole thing is lyrics.
that.
The hook is a lyric. The lyrics are the words. The other part is the music. And the only part of the music that is copyrightable is the melody. And that's like when you sing Happy Birthday. That's the melody to Happy Birthday. Now, you can do a Happy Birthday to a polka arrangement, a waltz arrangement, a Jeep Wrangler arrangement. That doesn't change who wrote that melody. There's only 8 notes on that piano, and that's the stuff that's copyrightable. And that's what has become blurred, since we've started sampling, and you have producers and songwriters working together. It has become blurred. But even when you blur the lines, you have to sit down before the money is made and decide who did what and who's going to get paid what. Because that song will get away from you, and you won't get anything.
Indeed.
And I won't have a job, because my job is going back and getting people's money who didn't fill out their paperwork at the beginning.
I know artists that they gave the publishing information was all on the liner notes, but they never registered it with the ASCAP. So they're under the impression that they were going to get publishing, but when they went to ASCAP, it wasn't there. The publishing went to someone else.
Let me explain something to you. ASCAP and BMI and CSAC are performance rights companies. What they do is pay or track the music as when it's performed. That has nothing to do with the composition. Normally, when you register a song, if you're going to register the copyright, you would register it with the Library of Congress at the Copyright Office. But that is not required for you to maintain or retain the rights in your song. All you have to do is put a C in a circle, the year, and your name, either on the lead sheet where you put the lyrics, or if you if you're doing it as a file, encrypted in the file, when you send it to somebody, that gives you what is known as a statutory copyright. And that lets people know that you are the owner of that song. If you do not do that, and somebody hears that song without that notice on it, you have put it in the public domain, and you have no rights to that song anymore.
What I'm trying to say is that they had signed a contract, and the contract stipulated that they would retain 50% of the publishing. 50% will go to the independent label that signed them, and they will retain the other 50%. But the label did not register it with ASCAP. They took their publishing.
It's not the label's job to do that. That's your job. That's your job. And that's how they feed on young songwriters, because the songwriter doesn't take care of his business at that board. You don't give your stuff to somebody and say, do this for me, and trust them to do it. What are they going to do? If you gave somebody a bag of $20 bills and say, hey, man, hold on to that for me, what you think he's going to do? Steal it. That's the same way with your work. Your work is like when Jean asked me what song did I want them to play, California One is my baby. I've got a lot of songs, and all of my songs are my baby, but California One is my main baby. I'm not giving up nothing of my music. When I create my stuff, nobody's taking anything from me. I protect myself right there. And that's what I need these young kings and these young queens to do. Protect yourself. Don't expect the label to do it. The label has been beating us for decades.
I got one other question. What happens if, say, for example, you had your publishing, everything was in check, all across the board, you're all good, but the company went under and or it got sold to a subsidiary to another company, how can you retrieve your royalties from that point?
No company can take if you own your publishing, like I own my publishing. I own my publishing from the moment I wrote my songs. Now, Mercury Records or whoever it is want to go under and take Confunction's publishing company, Valley Joe, they can do that. But they can't do mine. And nobody can take your publishing from you. Publishing royalties and songwriting royalties are two different things. And most people talk about having publishing, but you can't own your publishing if you don't know what to do with it. Just saying I have a publishing company and I want to own my publishing doesn't mean anything if you don't have the knowledge to exploit that publishing.
No, my actual question was, you have your publishing, you receive royalties from a said project, but the company that released the recordings, like say for example MCA got bought up by Sony, so now they have
MCA got bought up
stuff.
by Universal.
I
MCA
just use that as an example.
Okay.
If the company that you originally signed with is no longer there, their company got bought up by another company, how do you retrieve your publishing from that point? Because it's just floating in the wind. How do you get it if the company you originally was with is no longer there? If you got bought out by another company.
Publishing companies are assets. When you sell a label, the publishing that they control or they administer is an asset. You don't lose your publishing. If you own your publishing, you let the new company know, I own my publishing.
But if you don't know what the new company is,
well, then there's probably no money to be even worried about then.
Not necessarily, though. It could be money there, though. But suppose it is money there, but you don't know where it is.
Find out. So always chase the money. Find out where it's being paid, what it's being paid on, and you should be able to track it back from there. Like Mercury Records, my music, Extra Foxx music, was on Mercury Records. Mercury Records was bought up or taken over by Polydor, Polygram, then Universal.
Polygram.
But I still own Extra Foxx music. They still know where to find me because I own my copyright and I follow my music. You gotta stay on top of it. And if it's gotten away from you, because sometimes that happens, and you think it's making money, then find the record that it's being released on right now and track it back and send them a letter and let them know that I own the publishing to this song and I expect to be paid. But you have to prove that you own the publishing because they're going to make you prove it.
That should be easy because if you were on the original masters and if you were on the original paperwork for the actual song, it shouldn't be hard to prove that you wrote the song. But
do you have the original paperwork?
Of course. But so many masters have been transferred and bought out by other companies too. It's hard. It's actually a puzzle trying to find out who even owns the original masters.
I thought
because it's not in print anymore. No. I'm saying you don't. But what I was trying to say is the company that I was with is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
The last I heard, it got sold to another company. Last I heard, I don't know where it's at now.
Okay,
and this is a major company.
You said something about ASCAP, which I'm thinking that was the Performance Rights Society you were with. I'm with Broadcast Music, BMI. Did you go on the ASCAP website and search that song and look
Yes.
and see
Yes.
where the publishing
Yes.
company is?
Yes.
So,
and the publish it doesn't list. It only lists the original publishers. It doesn't list where the music is going. It lists the original publishers, what record label and distribution company. But
okay,
that company is no longer in existence.
I think that and do this. Okay. Hit me up at extrafoxmusic.com.
Done deal. Say no more.
Yeah, EXX. You can find me, or you can Google me. Hit me up, and we'll talk about this. I need to do some deep research because certain things are not coming together, and we can go all night on this subject alone. So,
Say no more.
now.
Thank you. Say no more. Thank you.
May I ask a question? Our caller, can I reveal who you are, and it's a reason why I'm asking that?
No, you're not.
I'm a nobody, but sure.
No.
Okay, Linda Lou.
What?
Remember when we were having our conversation yesterday regarding the flyers, and I mentioned Tweed, and he had Lenny Williams on his show?
Yeah.
Well, this is Tweed talking to you. That's who
okay. Well,
is
holler at me then. Yeah. All right.
She said, "Well, holler at me then." Linda, you a piece of work.
Okay.
We ain't told you are a piece of work.
I was bullshitting.
Linda, you a real one.
Non-tweed.
As
I was
these young people
bullshitting
say.
non-tweed.
She is a real one, a genuine
But
real one.
but no, hit me up.
Okay, well,
I mean, shit.
it's a done deal. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you heard of Ruthless Records back in the day.
Of course.
Okay,
Number one
well, I was on
client.
Ruthless Records with publishing, and Madeline Smith was the administrator, and
my
she
God.
was she did whatever
my
she could
God.
do.
Okay, no,
But
stop.
when they got sold, I don't know
no,
where
no.
the money is.
I need you to stop because I can't talk about this right here. You hit me up because I'm not fixing it.
Done deal.
No.
Done,
Yeah.
done deal.
Yeah. All right.
Done deal.
All right. My bad.
Yeah, that was about to go too deep, and because he's naming names right now, and
Can I say something else about Confunction, though? And can I say one more thing about Confunction?
Mhm.
My question was, is Michael still a part of that, or did Felton go one direction and did Michael go one? Is it two Confunctions out there on the road, or are they still a unit?
Okay, there's only one Confunction. Let's be clear, and they disbanded in 1986. Okay.
So it's no more Confunction on the road.
Wait a minute. Let me finish. Okay, they disbanded in 1986. There were other deals on the table. Confunction's contract was up with Mercury Records in 1986, and of course they were still viable, and other labels wanted them. But Michael Cooper wanted to be a solo artist. So anyway, he went on and somehow got him a solo deal with Warner Brothers and put out a few little hits, but whatever, it didn't really kind of work out for him. So when he performed with his band, they always wanted to hear Confunction stuff. They didn't want it because he and Felton Pilot are the voice of Confunction. You cannot have Confunction without Michael Cooper and Felton Pilot.
True. He's the voice.
Now,
he's the voice.
Yeah, you can find back in the day there was a group, I can't even think of the little group, it sounded exactly like Confunction. I mean, God, they had a song out. Me and Lewis looked at each other and thought they had put out a song that we had forgotten about. But you can find somebody early up to replicate your lead singers. But by the time Michael Cooper figured out that he really needed Confunction, like it was like the early 90s, and the internet is up and a whole bunch of stuff is going on, so he decides to try to put the band together the way he would have wanted the band, with him running the band, Because, see, before they were a democracy. They voted on everything, which is, by the way, not the way to run a group. It's just not. Somebody needs to be in charge. And he figured that out, so now he's going to try to put the band together again, but he doesn't want the strong people in it, which is my husband, Danny Thomas, the keyboard player, and Cedric Martin. And he couldn't do it without Felton. So he brought Felton back in, and what they did was from that point was got some magnificent young musicians to play behind them with Michael and Felton and I think Carl, one of the horn players, because he was also their choreographer, coming on board to do the choreography. So they are basically a cover band because they
So whatever
never
happened to Danny? So did Danny go solo?
Well, Danny is out here, doing his little thing as Danny Thomas, formerly of Confunction.
Wow.
Yes, yeah,
Wow.
because that's what legally. That's how groups have to be billed. We allow Michael Cooper and Felton Pilot to perform as Confunction because it's beneficial to the other band members who are not performing and who don't want to perform, or in my case, my husband is dead and who cannot perform. Because every time Michael Cooper's cover group goes out and performs, they sell records and we get royalties. But normally when a band breaks up, they must perform as Joe Blow, formerly of, because all the members own the right to the name, to the trademark.
And that was my question. I was wondering because I grew up with Climax, and Cheryl took the name, and she owns the name of Climax, and Bernadette has to be Bernadette, formerly of, Climax. And I was just wondering, were you guys able to retain that Confunction name? That was my question.
We bumped heads. We bumped heads about it. Michael Cooper and all of us, we came to the table in 2007, and like I said, we allowed Michael Cooper to perform as Confunction because it's beneficial to us.
Right.
For there to be Felton Pilot over there performing as Confunction, only singing the slow songs, and Michael Cooper over here performing as Confunction, only singing the fast songs, and then the rest of Confunction just whatever they doing, that's ridiculous. It made more sense to keep the group intact as much as you, not keep the group intact, to keep the music intact. Because Michael Cooper and that band and Felton Pilot performed those songs exactly like the record, so that when you hear them now and you remember that you was tapping it back in '78, it was the exact same groove. You were not losing your groove while you trying to relive the magic.
First of all, can't nobody sing straight from the heart. I don't care who you are. Philip Betty couldn't sing straight from the heart. That is the number one Confunction song that will never be duplicated.
Nobody can do Confunction songs. Nobody can do Confunction songs, but Confunction. And that's clear.
Nobody.
And that's why there could be no cover band or no performing group right now without Michael Cooper and Felton Pilot. It has to be that way. We saw the value in that. We're not the type of people that do all the infighting. Did they fall out? Absolutely, because they started as teenagers, and you grow up, and you have different things that you want out of life. So 10 years later, they're not saying the same things or wanting the same things, so they broke up. But there's no hate among Confunction, and all of the guys are smart. And we all saw the value. And when I say we, I speak, my son administrates his father's estate, but I put this stuff in motion in 2007 to make sure my children's legacy was protected. But we saw the value of keeping the music, the art intact, so that we could all benefit from it.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I want to say, God bless you for your loss, because Lewis was cool as hell, man, back there at them drums. And I know the story behind what happened to him. I don't know if you guys tapped in a little late. I don't know if you discussed what happened about that, but it was sad, and I just want to, I just want to wish you well for standing strong, for Working Function, standing up for Vallejo, standing up for the name, the brand, the legacy, man. I commend you, Miss McCall.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
So, Linda Lou,
Yes.
with Tweed bringing that up about your husband, just let the people who don't know how you fought for the justice of what happened to your husband, because you and I had this conversation. So if you can just let the people know, because a lot of people don't know.
All right. Lewis was murdered in a home invasion robbery on June 25th, 1997. And it was in DeKalb County, Stone Mountain, which is just outside of Atlanta. And DeKalb County at that time, the police department was incredibly corrupt. The sheriff shot the sheriff but could not kill the deputy. Mm-hmm. And he is in jail right now, serving life without parole. So it was just a bad situation, and the case was not properly investigated. And in 2003, a woman who is listening right now, Angeline Hartman, who is one of the top crime reporters in the country. She was on America's Most Wanted, and she's now with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But she was a Fox 5 crime reporter, and she talked me into doing a interview on TV, because me and my children had done no press after Lewis's death. And plus my daughter was a police officer, so that was messy too. But they reopened the case. They dropped the ball again, and then finally in 2008, I had written the governor. They opened the case again, took it to trial, and about 2 hours in the jury deliberation, the judge declared a mistrial for prosecutorial misconduct. So they asked, me if we wanted to retry the trial and retry the case, and I didn't, because they were about to send this kid to jail on eyewitness testimony, and I don't believe in that. And I believe in justice for all. If he did it, he did it, but he deserved a fair trial. Mm-hmm. And I told them, if you can't come up with some better evidence, which there was no forensics at that time, don't try this kid, because it's just not fair. I wouldn't want anybody to go to jail for something they didn't do, or even if I don't want you to go to jail if the prosecutor didn't prove his case. So right. We're coming up on 24 years. The case is still unsolved. Me and my children have moved on. We've not forgotten Lewis. I still keep Lewis's legacy alive, and his children are the best example of, I'm sorry, it's been 23 years. My daughter just checked me by text. It's been 23 years. She's my little producer. But my children are amazing. They lost their father when they were teenagers, which can be devastating. My son was 14 when he lost his father. But they turned out absolutely magnificent. My daughter is a police officer. She unfortunately was shot 3 times in the line of duty 18 months ago. So she's recovering from that. My son is a top real estate agent out here in Scottsdale. He's the first black president of Scottsdale Realtors and the youngest. So they have flourished in spite of the loss of their father. And I'm so proud of them because when he died, I told them I wanted them to make their father proud because that he had been in their lives long enough to put his impression on them, to stamp them, to mold them into great young people, and they have really turned out well. And I'm so incredibly blessed.
That's great.
To have
That's
children
great.
that I've never
That's
had
great.
a mental problem out of.
Right. That's great right there. Incredible story. I mean, so much. I think, Linda, I think we need to have you back for a part 2 because it's I think we could just go on all night. But unfortunately, we got a couple minutes left. So Linda, we want to wrap it up, and we want to let you leave us and the fans and the people listening with whatever you want to leave them with, and also tell them how they can get in contact with you or support you or follow you on any handles you have that you want to put out there.
Well, I'm not a big social media person because I don't really have to be, but, I'm always willing to help people that need help. I have no problem doing that at all. That's why I went to law school, to help my people do better. I'm on Instagram, Linda Lou McCall, Facebook, Linda Lou McCall. My company is Extra Foxx Music, extrafoxmusic.com. That's 2 X's in Extra, 2 X's in Fox. And I can be reached through my website. They have a little contact thing. So don't be bombarding me, though, because I'm expensive. I'm playing. No, I'm playing.
No, she's not. Okay.
No, I'm not.
But we appreciate you, Linda. We really do. You gave us a lot of history and a lot of game. You gave us some game tonight, and it was great. We really appreciate you, Queen Jean.
Is she still there?
Queen Jean. What happened to Queen?
I don't
Lost Queen?
know.
Oh, she's out.
Yeah,
no, she's out there. Queen Jean.
Oh, okay. Girl, where you go?
Hi.
I'm the one who said
I don't know what happened. I don't know what
up.
happened, Queen. You got knocked off from where?
What I was saying, though, because I did hear you ask me, but what I was saying to you, Linda Lou, is that I truly enjoyed the conversation with you. I hope we made you comfortable. And we have to, we have to have a part 2, and God bless you, but I will definitely be keeping in touch with you.
No doubt.
Yes, and,
it's
blessings to the prosperity.
I really appreciate this. I don't do interviews. I just don't like them. I'm not comfortable with them. I did Unsung, and that almost killed me. Yes, you did make me comfortable. I was going to say I did Unsung only because their producer was just so great, and she worked with me and she helped me out. But yeah, and Jean did the same thing. She came in early, talked to me, and kept me from backing out because I tried to back out, didn't I, Jean?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And you taught us some things about our flyers too, so we appreciate that information.
I'm not filling them flyers. We got to do better.
So we appreciate that. We appreciate you being letting us do our interview, being the first interview with you. We appreciate that. Truly, we do.
No, I really appreciate y'all having a nobody on here because I saw your little lineup and I'm like, damn, y'all gonna make me come behind Lenny Williams? That's not fair.
No, that's Tweed's show. That's Tweed.
Well,
Tweed.
Oh,
that's
okay.
sweet.
But still, y'all be talking to some people that do stuff. I don't do nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you do a lot as you
Well,
spoke it. So yeah, but it's good
No,
that you're
but I
humble
really
the way that you are.
Well,
You're a very
I know
genuine
I appreciate
person.
it. And I appreciate Jean because she told me just come on and we're going to have a conversation, which helped a lot because I don't like being interviewed.
Thank you,
It
Linda
worked
Lou.
out. Yeah, it worked out really well. So thank you all so much.
Hey, you
my
have yourself
text-
a great, restful
My
night.
text is blowing up. I guess I did do pretty good because my friends are hitting me up.
That's good. That makes us feel good.
Hey,
Yes,
Angeline.
it does.
Can I do a shout out to my girl Angeline Hartman
Yes, please.
with the National Centers of Missing and Exploited Children, my daughter with Tempe Police Department, and my son, and I don't even know what the name of his real estate broker is, but he's Louis McCall the second, and he is his daddy, and I'm so proud of him. He is so Louis.
Yeah, he looks like
I'm
his
Louis
dad. And give a shout
House
out to your
I'm
Yeah,
Louis the fourth. How about that?
yes.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
my and my stepson Dominic.
And
Dominic
your
Dominic,
beautiful
what's up?
grandchildren too.
Oh yeah, my badass grandchildren.
They're
yeah.
beautiful though. They are beautiful. Yes. So your beautiful
Now,
grandchildren.
don't let that cute fool you. 'Cause they bad as hell.
I know.
They
Remember
bad
we
as
had that
hell.
conversation. So yes. Well, we want to
So
shout
thank
out to
y'all
you
so-
too.
Okay, thank you.
You're
And maybe
welcome.
we can do this again maybe one day, but I don't know, girl.
So we could just bring you on the podcast. That's an hour. You can do a podcast with us. This was 2
Yeah,
hours.
okay.
You did it. So if you did this 2
I
hours,
did do
it's
it,
a breeze.
didn't I?
Yeah,
you
you're
said
actually
I
over
didn't
that.
have to, but I did do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it went by fast.
Yeah,
It-
because
it-
you were
it went out.
comfortable.
Yeah, and I posted while I did one of my Linda Lou feats. I was wearing my Lewis Hamilton. You know who Lewis Hamilton is?
Mhm.
Lewis
He's the
Hamilton.
only black Formula One racer in the history of Formula One, and he's 6-time world champion. I was wearing my Lewis Hamilton sneakers, and I took a picture while I was on there letting people know that this is what I was doing.
Well, I think it's only fair that we let the people know that you were also nominated for the Most Beautiful Women Over 50. You was in the Most Beautiful People issue in May of 2007. So she was in that magazine, y'all, for one of the most beautiful women over 50. So we need to let the people know that, too.
Only because black don't crack, and
Right,
the
that
field
part.
is mostly white, and you know we hold it down with this kid. So.
Hey, peace and love
That's right.
to you. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for being with us.
Okay,
this evening.
thank you all so much. Bye-bye. Y'all have a
All
good
right.
weekend.
You as
Good
well.
evening. Good night, sweetheart. The lovely Miss Linda Lou McCall. It's the G-Lew Show, Flashback Fridays with Miss Queen Jean. Queen Jean held it down tonight. You did a terrific job, Queen. Thank you. Thank you for having my
Thank you,
back, front, and
G-Lew.
side. Yes,
I appreciate
as always.
that.
And we thank all the fans and the listeners. Shout out to our sponsors, BTP Media Group, 93 Tweet FM Ism, Miss Dee Dee Harrison, Westside Car Club, and OG Music. It's the G-Lew Show where it sounds so beautiful. Don't you agree?
I agree.
All right.
That's the way it goes on the train.
Down that number, no one answers to
embodiment. I mean, that smoothest nigga. So how do you figure that Atlanta don't be pulling them tricks? The southern playalistic campus up in his dick. Now my focus up on that track, complimenting that way it is. See, one is for the money, two is for my niggas who jack. Niggas ain't taking that shit no more, they got big Benz and Cadillac. My gat is in my lap. So what you wanna be starting now? I'm pissing the phone, Jeffrey's on my brain, that got me spot.
Too close for comfort, too close to home. Too close to be playing your boy, so hey, why don't you get your own? As long as I got this legally, people see that we can be on top of things without causing another nigga sorrow. I know it seems it ain't enough to go around, but keep on holding on like good demo, cause it's a better day tomorrow. That's all I can say, can't tell the future. Tomorrow's another day, but today, they just might shoot you for your ride. Fuck your pride, high, better be out your seat. Quick and snappy with a happy face before you bleed. Ask me if that material shit is worth your life. I don't know about yours, but if so, you're smoking pipes right. Deep in the dungeon for these many months. Amongst the dungeon dragon as we pass around them blunts. Had to cut it out like shears, but for years I used to burn them. Getting deep up in my thoughts just to get shit off my sternum. Chest, I never played but made many of moves. I still blame it on the session cause I can't remember the do. I guess, I feel that getting the bins is out of the question. The world is yelling hooty hoo, but in my pockets nothing but gum and lint. To sum the shit up, I'm broke, nothing but hope. So big boy, tell them what you told. I'm traveling up to Jersey with 4 keys off in my trunk. And thinking of starting the ways to get that motherfucker drunk. See, yes, I be that nigga that with that sense off in my chest. Smoking and choking them token blacks, so what is the test? She's strong, niggas survive, and the weak niggas they die. I never fuck no white bitch, I stop eating that pig side. Be activating that low tech cause the Fleetwood had been stolen. Hamilton Road is open, the VIP has spoken cause it's like this. I got new stuff. Similar to the ones that calling a wild. Up in the Benzes where I be doing about 100 miles. The world is fucked up. How these niggas be driving drunk. You taking a homicide with their bodies up in your trunk. To me the car does not belong. I use that strong arm robbery. Robbing spree. Look at me, WMB backwards. Taking you to the top with these verses. Coming around the projects make you sleep up in the hearse. I got a word of wisdom for those who must resist. You'll be needing a physical therapist cause you can't fuck with this. While you sat down by the T-shirt thinking about some T-shells. I was around the corner from Pleasant Hill thinking about the B12, but maybe not for long because I just done seen the light. I'm packing my screwdriver, so see I'm gonna be alright. Just moving the steering wheel side to side like a slalom. Now I ain't got no problem, I'm just breaking the steering column. I spot him in the middle of the MARTA parking lot. I'm hearing a voice in the back of my head yelling, Andre, stop. But do I stop now? I figure it's a combo. But now I'm going down cause the folks wanna run